Hey, what's up guys? It's Jack from Hellfire Gaming, and we are here today in the new Mr. Pandaria World of Warcraft Brewery Dungeon, and I'm gonna show you how to get through this without getting badly injured, and some tips and tricks I'll present to you throughout the dungeon. So let's get started. So basically we're just clearing out some mobs before we get to the first boss. There are two quest givers at the very start of the dungeon. I don't have the quest and I didn't get them because I already completed them. But if you do happen to have the quests, one quest, you have to go around and pick up these books you'll find out throughout the dungeon, and the other quest basically is after each boss you kill, you will basically just kill the bosses for the other quest, and yeah. Okay, so these you don't really have to kill, but I decided to. So just attack the barrels and they'll go blow up like that. So easy monkey kills, don't really have to do much. But yeah, that was stupid of me. Yeah, make sure you use spells or ranged attacks on those, because if you get too close, as you saw, you get hurt and blasted back. Alright, so this is my first commentary, so if you want me to do more of these, or more like my other videos where I just show dungeons or gameplays and have some pretty rockin' badass music in the background, I can do that too. So just leave a comment, yeah. Okay, so for this part, this is where the boss will spawn after you get the right amount, after you kill 40 monkeys. As you can see in the bottom, right above the spell bar, we have killed about almost 30 monkeys. And so once we kill 40, these monkeys will disappear and the boss will drop down and the boss fight will begin. Out of all the new Mr. Pandaria dungeons, the bosses, they just get weirder and weirder. Oh. Ookie, all your night. Oh. Alright, so this boss is pretty easy. I mean, just as a tank, make sure you stay out of his ground pound, and that's basically almost the only attack that does serious damage, at least up close. The barrels that you see rolling, those the DPS will have to get on and roll them into the boss. But if they run into you without somebody controlling them, or you're on one and you accidentally crash into another barrel, it will do some serious damage and knock you back. Good thing to have for even lower dungeons like 85 plus, or is deadly boss mods. It comes in handy, really good. I like it because, as you can see in the on the screen, it will tell you when move that could be potentially fatal will happen. And yeah, ooh, nice sword. I'm gonna grade that. Oh, what's this? Oh, what is that? It's a dance party, yay! Okay, for this part, since we're running with a badass healer, I'm gonna run it all the way through. But make sure, as a tank, if you're gonna do this, you tell everyone and make sure they're alright with it, because it can be potentially fatal if you don't tell them, obviously. And if you don't DPS a lot with any AoE spells you have as a tank, it will be not really that great for your group. Like you can see, one of the DPS is almost dead, but a healer will get him back up to full strength. And they have little exploding ones too, so watch out for those, like this guy. That's little bell in his mouth. So yeah, once you get here, just like use AoE spells and chomp them down as fast as you can before the boss comes. And when the boss comes, just pull him and let the boss fight begin. So you see those hammers on the ground. Those hammers are going to be used for any additional mobs that come out, whether they be the small ones or the ones that carry the hammers, because you're going to need to use them to like whack-a-mole, basically, just like hit the button and whack-a-mole to like that. Does helps out with the boss fight and the DPS. It keeps them off of them, it keeps off the healer, etc. It's a good thing to do. It's hard as hell to, well, it's still possible. It's not, it's harder, probably not hard as hell, but it can be hard as hell if you don't know what you're doing. Yeah, for me, I like to roll as a paladin tank because I just like it, and plus you get a bonus of healing yourself, so it's all good. Being a paladin, it has advantages because you can... sorry about that, the stupid computer. Being a paladin has advantages like the... I forget what spell it is, but you can potentially cast the Hand of Reckoning, I think it's called, that can shield the ally and makes them immune for an amount of time, for all damage. I use that on the healer so she wouldn't die. Ooh, what's that? That's good for healer, DPS mage or something, I guess. I don't know. Okay, so in this, basically, these things are kind of like juggernauts in their own way, because they'll drop these weird AoE brew things on the ground. There's two different types of them. There's this one, which drops the just regular black brew ale on the ground that can do potential harm, and then there's gonna be another version that we'll see later in the dungeon. And this room is pretty easy, just aggro those and run them down. Stay out of all the brew spilling in the hallway, because it is not really a good idea. I don't really know what happens if you walk into it, but I'm just gonna take a guess. It's probably not a good thing, so just stay out of them, just for old time's sake, I guess. Okay, there's only 3 bosses in this dungeon. We've already gone over 2 of them, so only 1 left. Okay, now these are the other version of the 2 that I was talking about, because these guys, they drop the fizzy thing on the ground that does basically the same thing as the other one with the black brew ale thing or whatever, but it stacks and can do put more damage, I guess, if it's since they're close together and they both drop one. So just make sure you stay out of that, obviously. Okay, this is the final boss. And this guy is funny, so I'll let you listen to him. Oops. Okay, so there's gonna be, I think, 3 or 4 waves of little mobs. And they'll each have its own different mob type. So these 2 will be the first 2 you get, which are kind of like the, ones that drop the little black brew ale on the ground. Apparently, if you stand long enough in this, it will put you to sleep, just like that. And it lasts for, I think, what is it, 5 seconds, 10 seconds? And it can be really bad if you're like a healer or a tank, or if things are not going your way, that can be deadly. But since we have an awesome group, and it's pretty easy to get out of that, it's not too hard. Okay, this group is particularly tricky because they're stationary, most of them, and they switch aggro really easy. And since I'm a paladin, the Blizzard got rid of my taunt spells, so I'm basically having to use my Avenger Shield and my basic Holy Wrath and stuff. So I guess, I mean, in all, Blizzard did a pretty good job of counteracting Paladins no longer having the taunting spell. But it would be nice if I could have it again. It would help out. But okay, back to the fight. Basically, the best way I see it, people may have different ways, but in my own opinion, just basically switch between, and it is pretty easy that. Okay, now you have 4 of these guys, and it is essential that you don't necessarily have them. If you do have them in a group, make sure they stay stationary, because if they start moving around a lot, like I kind of screwed up there, they'll drop the fizzy things like I told you earlier, and it can cause a wipe if you're not careful. I've never wiped on this dungeon, nor known anybody who has, but I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are probably wanting to know what things do, just wanting to see what the new dungeons are, if you haven't already. So after these guys comes the main boss, and the boss does two little phases. He either does a fizzy phase, which is kind of like what those fizzy giant ailments do, but if he does that, you grab a bubble, or he does these wave phase, where there'll be two waves coming, one horizontally and one vertically on the ground, and you just have to jump over them. So it's pretty simple. This one, he does the basic mob things. Make sure you stay out of his thing, his AoE on the ground right underneath him. It's pretty easy. Okay, so this is the fizzy thing. You gotta get into the bubble and fly up, because if you get in the bubble and just stay on the ground, it will continue to hurt you, and so that's not good. We don't want to get killed. So basically it's just a repeat. He'll do that a few times unless you burn him down fast enough that he can't get off a second one. But since you see here, we didn't. Yeah, it's usually he does two, but I'm sure there are people out there that have really high DPS and can burn them down pretty quickly. So if that's the case, then you only need to do one of these. But for everyone else who are still trying to get adjusted to this new expansion, just expect a few of those, depending on the DPS level. Damage per second, for those of you who don't know what DPS is. It's just the meters in my lower right hand corner of the screen, if you want to see that. And voila, that's the dungeon. Yay, we've got nothing I can use, but it helps out some of my group members, so yeah. Alright guys, that's another like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.